When was the Ku Klux Klan Act passed? Have you ever wondered how the United States government responded to the violence and intimidation that followed the Civil War? One key piece of legislation was the Ku Klux Klan Act, which was passed on April 20, 1871. This law, also known as the Enforcement Act of 1871 or the Third Enforcement Act, was created during the Reconstruction era. The goal was to combat the violent actions of the Ku Klux Klan and similar groups that threatened the rights of newly freed African Americans and their supporters in the South. After the Civil War and the abolition of slavery through the 13th Amendment, the Ku Klux Klan emerged in 1865. This secret organization engaged in acts of terrorism aimed at African Americans, Union supporters, and Reconstruction officials. The Ku Klux Klan Act was part of a series of enforcement acts passed by Congress to protect civil rights and enforce the 14th Amendment, which guarantees equal protection under the law. The act granted the federal government broad powers. It allowed the use of military force to suppress Klan activities, and it even permitted the suspension of habeas corpus, which usually requires a person to be brought before a court. This law also enabled the prosecution of conspiracies that interfered with civil rights, such as intimidation and violence by the Klan. One of the most important features of the Ku Klux Klan Act was that it allowed individuals to sue state and local officials who violated federal rights. This provision remains a vital tool in civil rights law today. Additionally, the act empowered federal judges to exclude Klan members from juries and required public officials and citizens to take action against conspiracies that violated civil rights. The legislation was introduced by Representative Samuel Shellabarger of Ohio. An earlier, more extensive bill by Benjamin Franklin Butler had been narrowly defeated. President Ulysses S. Grant signed the Ku Klux Klan Act into law as part of the federal government's efforts during presidential Reconstruction. This was a time when restoring order and protecting the rights of freedmen in the South was critical. The Ku Klux Klan Act represented a significant federal response to the political violence and racial terrorism that threatened the Reconstruction process. It aimed to safeguard the newly established rights of African Americans after the Civil War. Understanding the context of this law helps us appreciate the challenges faced during this transformative period in American history.